Good afternoon everyone. Today we're going to be looking at a comparison of two very similar sort of model watches in terms of the sort of the price branch, and yeah, it's quite simply just looking at two very different sort of blue-green colours really on what two very similar watches and offer similar quality. So just giving you sort of a double review essentially. So on the left hand side we've got the Citizen Tsuyosa small seconds versus on the right we've got the Tissot PRX 40 mint green dial edition. So the Citizen has a 40mm case diameter, so does the PRX. Has 11.7mm case thickness, whereas the Tissot PRX is slightly thinner. It's I think it's about 11mm case thickness. There's not a big difference in it. I think the Tissot PRX does sit just a little bit smaller. That's from memory. This is my own Tissot PRX. Don't forget, I haven't done a PRX review in a while. They both retail at very similar sort of prices. The Citizen Tsuyosa at a little bit lower, so the Citizen cost me about £320, whereas the PRX cost me just £360, I believe it was when I bought it. Both similar in terms of weight. So the Citizen weighs about 147 grams, but it probably weighs a bit more. It probably feels like it weighs a bit more than that. The Tissot PRX probably weighs a similar sort of weight. There's not a noticeable difference between the two. You probably notice the difference probably because of the thickness of the watches, but in terms of the actual weight, there's not a lot. So talking of the sort of the movements, they both have. Oh, well, sorry, don't both have. The Citizen has an automatic movement, whereas the Tissot PRX 40mm has a quartz movement. But you can go for ones that have automatic if you want to. The Tissot PRX has a ETA F06115 quartz movement, whereas the Citizen automatic has a 8322 caliber Citizen movement. That's quite a good movement with a 61-hour power reserve, which has a good accuracy as well, probably quite similar to that of the Tissot PRX. So they're both sort of similar in terms of their quality, in terms of at the sort of the movement level. So coming down to the dials here, two very different dials. The Citizen has a sort of a dotted dial, whereas the Tissot PRX has the ability to offer two effects because of the line finish on the dial there. You can see the line grains, the lines catch the light at different angles, so you've got ability to change the colour of the dial within reason essentially. So you can have a sort of swimming pool blue, or you can go for a bit more mint green colour depending on how you tilt it. The Citizen offers a bit more of a sun ray sort of finish, so you get a nice reflective finish on the dial no matter the angle you hold it at. So the Tissot PRX is waterproof to 100 meters, whereas the Citizen is only waterproof to 50 meters. And you get a date dial with the Tissot PRX just behind that second hand where it is at the moment. Whereas the Citizen PRX, you get a nice gliding second hand, whereas the second hand on this one is just a sort of a plain second hand that ticks along. The Citizen is quite nice because it's got a little sub dial just for that, really, to sit in place. The Tissot PRX has sapphire glass with full luminous increments and indices, whereas the Citizen has anti-reflective sapphire glass with a recessed crown at the 4 p.m, whereas the Tissot PRX is just a plain crown, at the 3 p.m. I said the crown on the Tissot PRX is easier to use and feels nicer in that way, whereas the Citizen, you obviously get a nice wind-up function with the crown itself because it's having an automatic movement. Coming down to the straps, so they're very similar in terms of the. Actually, one more thing I want to talk about. One way in which they are similar is how the case curves around the actual face. The Citizen curves a bit more, comes back into the strap quicker than the Tissot PRX. This one sort of floats out a bit more, and that's why I sort of wanted to compare them really, because they look very similar in terms of that way, and they also have the slightly smaller strap that fits into the clasp rather than fitting the entire width of the clasp itself. So the width of the Citizen, I'll drop the ruler, looks a bit bigger than the actual width of the PRX, but the actual width of the strap for its PRX is much bigger. As you can see there's quite a big difference in the strap size there. The Tissot PRX is all brush finish, whereas the Citizen has a brush and polish finish, depending on what sort of effect you want to go for. They both have a butterfly style clasp system, very similar in quality in terms of that bit. So very similar in terms of quality when you get down to the actually putting it on. And then finally, looking at the sort of the case backs, you get obviously a filled-in one for the Tissot PRX, whereas the Citizen has a full skeletal view of that automatic movement in the back there with a screw-down case back. I think the Tissot PRX case back just lifts off. Both straps have a quick release system as well, so you can quickly chop and change the straps. So there we go, guys. That is the Citizen Tsuyosa versus the Tissot PRX Mint Dial. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on the next video.